Good evening, everyone. It's Tom Sydney Bushnell, aka Numbers, here from Psych Club and from the Tom Numbers Show and News with Tom Numbers. And I've got my my friend Ian Clark from Activation Products. Ian, it's good to see you again. How are you?
Hey, Tom. Very well. It's things are getting better every day, and excited to get into the content today for everyone.
Excellent. Well, thank you. I think since we last spoke, I've received some more wonderful products to try and to delve into. So we've got the black Cumin oil, which I think we'll be talking about. We might have mentioned, I think we did mention it. We've also got the Perfect Immune.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about the immune systems, particularly with this part of the year. We've got also the Perfect Uric, and we've got the regulars of the Iodine and the Ease and the Trace, and yeah, all the good stuff. So yeah, let's talk about the and incidentally, everyone, links will be below, and if you enter Tom Numbers 20, you get 20% off all of your purchases at the checkout. And there'll be US links. We've also got some UK links. And if you've got any questions, just message us. And if you have any issues, but you should be able to get it pretty much most places. So yeah, so immune system. So people need to be. It's the time of year we're going from summer into fall, into autumn. So we've got Perfect Immune. Maybe we could, start off with it. Start off on that one, Ian.
Yeah. Well, what was interesting, I found, because I've learned a lot about immunity, is so you have a system in your body that is able to eliminate what is not supposed to be there. So your immune system, I like to call it your decongestion system.
Yes.
So you get congested by breathing. You get congested by eating food that has less than desirable things in it. You get congested by consuming liquids. You get congested by stuff coming in through your skin. Okay. So there's all these different ways, and there's an endless conversation about the amount of garbage out there. That's not very interesting. What's interesting is how can you get rid of any of these non-human, these pathogenics or contaminating things that get jammed up in your system.
Yes.
So the Perfect Immune thing you held up first, that one caught my eye when I first started hearing about it. I'm like, okay, so tell me more. And
here it is. There you go.
So this is like the coolest product for your mucous membranes. And so people think about mucous membranes as being, in the back of the throat and the sinuses and the bronchioles and things like that. But you actually have mucous membranes throughout your entire body. And the mucus can get jammed up because the mucus is what catches stuff, and it kind of holds it, and then it wants to release it and get rid of it through the bloodstream or through coughing or blowing your nose or whatever. When your mucous membranes get overloaded, they tend to want to get rid of it, right? So
yes, yeah.
What that stuff does, the main mechanical function of the Perfect Immune, that's an extract from a geranium plant, the root of a geranium plant that grows wild in the mountains of South Africa.
Okay.
And it's one of these things where you don't kill the plant to get it. You can take it out, cut the root, and plant part of the root back in, keeps growing. So it's a sustainable product. But when you take the extract from that and you put it in water, or you can put it straight in your mouth. I don't really do it straight. I like to just have it in fluid.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'll do it straight if I'm just in a hurry because I don't have a glass or something like that. But what it does, it goes in and it makes the mucous membranes become nice and fluid. So it gets them running well. It just supports your body's ability to keep that nice and flowing. So when your mucous membranes are flowing, they don't jam up, and they get rid of the stuff much easier. And because people are dehydrated, or they get just too much contamination, or they get what they call an infection, again, an infection is just something in your body that shouldn't be there. You know, I consider things like cancer an infection. It's just an
Yeah.
infection. And you didn't have it before. Now you have it. It's
Yeah.
messing with you. It's growing. It's trying to kill you. So it's a matter of keeping all the stuff flowing that prevents any kind of buildup of all this stuff that eventually you have a big reaction from. And no one likes to have head colds and sinus headaches and sinus colds and chest colds and all that kind of stuff. It's very irritating. And so once you get the keys and you know the stuff that you should be putting in your body throughout the year, and then you're maintaining that flow rather than waiting till you have a symptom, you know, you can immediately jump into it and deal with it before a symptom shows up. Really what that means, you've kept the problem at zero. You want to have stage 0 problems. And the way you do it is by keeping everything flowing, because you're a living, breathing, pulsing being. And you just want to keep that system just running real smooth. So anything coming at you is leaving the same day. And, you know, the alarms go off with things like diagnoses like cancer or a severe pneumonia or flu or, you know, some kind of an infection in the brain, or the things that happen to people ongoing. Those are just alarms that go off. So when you decongest all the time, then you're just in the flow. And all of us are like very susceptible to waiting till we have to deal with it. Okay, now I'll deal with it. I'm sick. You know, we tell ourselves, oh, I'm sick. I caught a cold. I caught the flu. I caught a virus. All that's just old style lingo.
Better to be strong and healthy before getting to that. Prevent it. Yeah. It's interesting. Just some of the numbers I'll pepper in. Immune is 75, which is eternal. So we have the immune system, the eternal system, it's also magic wand system. But immune system, so immune 75, system 101, which actually is immortal. So immune system or immune immortal comes to 176, one of my favorites, Back to the Future. Level playing field, November the 5th. And perfect immune, which is the name of this wonderful product, is perfect is 73, which is number, which is children. But perfect immune comes to 148, simple gematria, which is the codex that I use when we do the numbers. A is 1, B is 2. And also Donald J. Trump, 148. Time Traveler, the North American way to spell it, Time Traveler 148. Maybe you're a time traveler, Ian. We might have to talk about that one day. But and then perfect immune system is 249, which is a combination of my channel Psych Club 109 and Tom Numbers 140. So the numbers always pop up. They always confirm the good stuff that we're talking about. So what things would you recommend in terms of other products, other supplements from the activation range that people could use in conjunction with the perfect immune? What would you say are the ones that would be, in your experience, ones to go for when they're, you know, topping up their immune system?
Well, the black cumin, you held the bottle up earlier, the black cumin is a decongesting thing as well. So
there it is.
What that does, that's like eyes, ears, nose, throat.
Okay.
It helps with. And then when you deal with that, the way you do your eyes, ears, nose, throat is you put 1 teaspoon in your mouth after a meal and you chew it for 1 minute. And 1 minute is actually quite a while. You know, I notice that people think a minute is about 15 seconds when they're doing something. If they're chewing, you know.
It's a whole lifetime, isn't it? Yeah.
So a minute, you know, as they put the timer on and go a minute, they'll get used to how many chews that is. What that does, it goes in and it cleans out the whole inside of your mouth cavity where a lot of pathogens are coming in and residing, especially in the dental. So between the gum and the tooth are all the bacteria who like to live, and they hide in there, and then they build plaque on top of themselves to make sure that nothing can get at them to remove them. It's a survival mechanism. It's like building a skyscraper of little calcium layers and then that's where the plaque comes from. So the black cumin goes in,
plaque protects them from being flushed out. Okay, I hadn't thought of it like that. Okay.
And then the tongue is like a shag rug. I think we're old enough to know what a shag rug is, right? Anyway,
you're making me think of Austin Powers. Yeah,
right. Yeah. So your tongue is like a shag rug, so it holds all this stuff, and when you're chewing, it goes through your whole mouth. And people refer this as oil pulling, but because the black cumin is so potent, it does the work in 1/10 the time. And then you simply tip back and gargle it in the back of your throat, and then you swallow it, and you just shoot it down with a little bit of water. That goes right back into the throat and gets all that stuff cleaned up back here. And I found when I first did it, it was pretty annoying because it was like, oh, it's uncomfortable. And then after 2 weeks, it didn't bother me at all. So it took 2 weeks to get all that craggy, fleshy stuff in the back of the throat cleaned up.
Okay.
Which was very, very cool. And then when it goes into your system, when you look up black cumin, black seed oil, as it's often called, we call it black cumin seed oil to make no mistake about what it is. It goes in and it's told that it cures everything except for death. That's what the people in the Middle East and around the world, like that area, have believed for thousands of years. Well, I mean, to say something cures everything except for death is a pretty broad statement. But the reason they said it is because it seemed like it dealt with all the symptoms, and people get super healthy when they use it because it helps to, it's a solvent. You know, think of like an oil getting glue out. If you have a sticker, for example, on a bottle that you want to keep the bottle and you want to peel the label off, if you put black cumin oil on that label, it doesn't take long and it's all dissolved and you can just wipe it out. So it degums. Yep. It degums your body. It gets all that glue, you know, that sticky, muky crap out of there. So it goes through your whole system. Helps with gut health.
It's a solvent. It actually does solve an issue, solves a problem. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And it helps with gut health. So people say your immune system lives in your gut. A lot of that is very true because you want to have good, healthy bacteria throughout your system. And your digestive system starts with your hands touching the food, to chewing it, to swallowing it, to digesting it, to eliminating it. And it starts out with high acidic in your stomach and ends up at basic in your colon. And so you want to have that whole area, that whole thing balanced out. And that's where mineralization comes in, but that's a whole nother thing about pH. The big thing with black cumin is it's able to go through your body from the inside out and do some pretty major cleansing. And there's a lot of scientific things behind it. There's people look it up. The studies are vast. We don't have time to talk about them all today, but certainly it's one of our most popular products that we ever sold because it's results driven. And people want to see something right away. You can put it on your skin as well. It decongests your skin. It gets all the blemishes going and helps with your hair and gets the hair follicles cleaned up. It's just this like sort of a miracle thing where you put it on a sore neck. Like if you know, sometimes you wake up and you get a sore neck or some muscles that are stiff. You put it right on there within 90 seconds to 2 or 3 minutes. It soothes it.
Really?
So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's one thing.
There it is, people. The black cumin oil.
You don't need a lot of it. It goes a long ways. That's a 250 ml bottle. You know, you're talking about 1 teaspoon a day. That's it. And if you do that, you'll see a big, big change on lots of different areas of your whole body's ability to keep itself clear. And then the other one that ties in with the perfect immune is the perfect uric. And when I talk to people about uric acid,
there we go. That one.
You need uric acid. That is not uric acid. What that does is that puts your uric acid exactly at the ratio your body needs, because you need uric acid for a bunch of things. It's all part of your urinary system. Yeah. But what happens after you're 21 and you start aging, your body becomes less efficient at dealing with the uric acid, and it starts to build up. And that'll show up when people are in their 40s and 50s. I've seen it show up when people are in their late 20s. That's very unusual. It's usually 50 or 60, in that category. And there'll be things like sore joints in the shoulders, arthritis in the knees, and then gout. Gout is a massive problem for some people. It just depends on your genetics, how good you are at getting rid of it. So a person who can't deal with uric acid well will literally not be able to walk when they have a gut attack. It's so painful they can't set their foot on the ground because that joint of the big toe gets jammed with all these crystals. Well, when you're at that level, that means that the uric acid is wreaking havoc throughout your whole system, messing with your kidneys, harming kidneys. You know, is where renal failure comes in if it goes for too long. So the perfect uric, what it does is it blocks the enzyme that extracts purines out of food you're eating. So you get to have less of the purines in your system because purines turn to uric acid. So then as you get older, anyone from 21 years old on should be taking perfect uric because that will keep it at that 21-year-old level for the rest of your life. You know, the body becoming less efficient at dealing with uric acid sucks. That's a real big problem for all of us. And so that's just something that keeps it at bay. Now, depending on your genetics, you may need more or less of the uric acid. And one thing anyone can do right now is they can go down to the grocery store or a drugstore or a health food store, wherever, and find some good quality baking soda. And it's not the greatest tasting stuff, but it's, you know, sodium bicarbonate. And if people have had a real big buildup of uric acid in their body and they've got arthritis and they have gout and things like that, they can also take that in water. So what you do is you take a glass of water, 4 ounces, put a teaspoon of baking soda into it, stir it up really well, and then drink it you have to be 2 hours after a meal or 1 hour before a meal. You never take it, you know, if you have food in your stomach, because that's messing with your stomach acid. But when you put it in your stomach, it goes away within 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and it's into your system because there's no food getting in the way. You just don't want to be changing because your stomach's running at 1.5 pH. You want to keep it really acidic. Good, healthy stomach acid is very important. And when people get GERD and acid reflux, it's because they don't have the proper quality of acid in their stomach. And so then they take an antacid, make it even worse. So you don't want to do that. So you want to avoid having it around a meal. But what that does is it goes in and neutralizes the acid in your body, and it supports and helps you to get rid of the excess. The perfect uric makes sure you have enough, but just enough. So you're not pulling the purines out of food. And, you know, depending again, what kind of food you eat. If you eat people can type on the list, high purine foods, and they can drop that down as well. But then they're going to miss out on nutrients if they drop it down too much. So people are going to have to deal with this uric acid issue eventually.
Would you add the Puric Acid, the perfect uric to the bicarbonate?
No, okay. It goes. You can put the perfect uric in anytime you like. It's often just good before a meal because it's blocking the enzyme that pulls that purine out of the food. Yeah. There's no time restriction on that. It's just that baking soda because it's so neutralizing.
Also, alkaline people do different things like with pH drops. That seems to help the gout as well. Just to kind of
a similar idea, a very similar idea. But then they've got to go out and they got to, you know, get another thing when they can just get baking soda. Baking soda is like there's Arm & Hammer. You can go to a health food store and they'll have bags of baking soda. Not to be confused with baking powder. But, you know, just sodium bicarbonate, very inexpensive and a wonderful way to deal with that excess if you have it.
Yeah, not baking powder. You're right. Baking soda. Different. Yeah. Does baking powder have a little bit of baking soda in it or completely different chemicals?
It might have. I'm not sure. I don't know.
I think, but that's a good distinction between the two. So we've got the black cumin, we've got the perfect uric, we've got the perfect immune, and then we've got well, we can go, unless there was other combinations you want to talk about that, we could go again into some of the other benefits of the other products. But those things, particularly for this season of going into we're now in the summer's already gone. I keep hoping summer's going to turn up, but it's we're in November in a week and a half's time. So yeah, we're definitely into the fall and coming into winter. Not soon. Not too far away. Pretty soon. Let's talk again about Trace. So I may have had some of this last time. I may not have done, but I've been enjoying Trace with my water. So yes. I'll put water on a nice shungite orgonite charging plate that I have, and I'll let that charge up. But then I always add the Trace, and I feel better by taking the Trace. And it's, well, you'll know this better than I will, but it's got magnesium, sodium, potassium, calcium, and sulfate. But I notice the difference as well. I do notice if I just drink water that doesn't have this, I feel different. I find this hydrates me better. I feel better with this in my water than not. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very serious hydration product. And it's a concentrated sea mineral. So it's unrefined sea minerals that are in a concentrated form. They've been solar dehydrated, but not completely dry. It's still left in a liquid form.
Yeah.
And so it immediately goes into water. You don't have to wait for it to stir in. And you just add 1 teaspoon to water and then down it. And it's that's a major hydration uptick. But it also is the raw material your body uses to produce blood. Because your body wants to produce blood, but that's the only raw material on earth. Any unrefined sea mineral concentrate, even salt itself, is the raw material your body uses to produce clean blood. When you produce clean blood, you're taking the load off of your immune system as well, because your blood is producing clean. It doesn't just have to filter out the 5 liters of blood that's in your body, because you only have 5 liters. You know, in US is 5 quarts. So that 5 liters pumps through your body every 1 minute. The entire volume of your blood goes through your body. So it's delivering all the oxygen and all the nutrients that you have to each cell continuously. And it wants to be able to stay renewed because the blood gets contaminated from breathing and what we talked about before, which is again going back to your immune system. So immunity is when you have immunity, you're inviolate. Nothing can touch you. If you have perfect immunity, that means you're a stage 0. So, you know, people say, oh, my friend, he got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. He didn't even know. He's already at stage 4. And now they're having to do the surgeries and the chemo and the radiation. How many times have we heard this? Oh, it would have been better if they would have been caught at stage 3. But you never hear about stage 0 cancer. You ever hear anybody talk about that?
No.
Nope. But stage 0 cancer is you don't have any. It says stage 0. And if you have stage 0 contamination, that's where you want to go. So the goal is to be at stage 0. Stage 0 deficiencies, right?
Yeah. Stage
0 illness. Stage 0 is the place where you want to be as close to as possible. So your body wants to be there. Not only do you want your body to be there, your body itself wants to be there. And is designed to be there. So 0 is the 0 point.
Yeah, 0 point. That's the 0 point energy. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you say, Ian, that these are the minerals, these are the elements that create the blood or make the blood pure, you're saying that magnesium, sodium, potassium, calcium, and the sulfate are the actual building blocks of the blood, or are they the elements that will purify the already existing blood?
No, so they are the
elements. The hemoglobin.
No. See, so your blood is called plasma.
Okay.
That's a concentrated plasma in the element form, because that's not blood, but that's the elemental form that the blood is made from. So when you keep giving your body a vast amount of raw material every day, it starts producing clean, fresh blood 24/7. Almost no one knows this. So therefore, they're not focusing on getting enough of the volume of these sea minerals. So your body is a walking ocean. If you cry a tear, it tastes like ocean water. Same with your sweat.
Yeah.
So the bioidentical elements you need for the raw material you consume to produce clean blood is exactly the trace. That's why that stuff is so potent.
Okay.
But when people, the body's not adjusted quite right, like we're coming up with a whole program this in the new year to have an entire protocol around this very thing, because when you produce clean blood at the right amount every single day, then all the contamination keeps leaving until all the accumulated contamination goes away, and then you just keep on living, because a healthy body doesn't die. There's no reason for a healthy body to die. The only, people say, oh, that person died of old age. Well, no, they didn't die of old age. They died of the illnesses got to a level where they were so unhealthy, they stopped living.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And if they didn't get a disease that's identifiable, then they don't call it, oh, they died of cancer. They died of heart disease. They died of a stroke. They died of dementia. They don't have a name to give to it. So they go, oh, they just died of old age. Okay. So yeah, it's not like that when your body is able to keep itself in the flow state. That's why this immune thing is eternal in the sense that if you're never sick ever and you're always healthy forever, then it's like there was no beginning and no end, because eternity means no beginning, no end. You are healthy. You are healed.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what immune is, 75 eternal, system 101 immortal. Going back to this on the trace, so this is really interesting to me. So I've noticed, I have it's a couple liter water bottle, but it's a bit compressed sometimes. So I find, because I used to drink like a fish, not alcohol, water, just constantly. And I've always liked that. But then I realized in recent months, if it's not with the proper elements inside, then you could probably be dehydrating. So I've noticed my water intake is probably less than it used to be. And I'm maybe I'm not drinking enough water, but I'm feeling that perhaps because I'm getting hydrated correctly now, I'm not requiring as much water to come on board, because I don't feel a constant thirst all the time. It's like, oh, I'll have some water. Whereas before I would just, I would drink a lot more water, but I'd find that I'm drinking less. Maybe I need to still increase my intake. But is that something that you notice when people are on trace?
Yes. Yeah. So what this is right here, that looks like water, but it's not water. It starts out as water, as the base material, which is super purified water. I add the unrefined sea minerals to it, which is trace, oceans alive, unrefined sea salt, wherever you get it from, has to be a pure source. And that instantaneously converts the water into what is called electrolytic fluid. Because when it comes to definition of things, water truly is pure H2O, and that's all it is. It doesn't have anything in it. It's a super solvent. So when you drink pure H2O, then your body has to donate the minerals to the water because it's hungry, and it will always balance. That's the one thing, is the osmotic law in the universe, that whatever the higher salinity is will always donate to the lower salinity. So when you put the right amount of the unrefined sea minerals in your water and convert it to that fluid, you drink it, it donates to you, which is hydrating you. And so I drink around 3 liters of this a day, because I know that that's the form of in this liquid that my body needs to produce blood. If I just went and grabbed a bunch of salt, like here's some unrefined sea salt in this jar. If I just sprinkle that on my food, it's not going to do the job, because my body's a liquid being. I'm 80% liquid. I'm not 80% water. I can't find water in my system. I find electrolytic fluid, blood, lymph, tears, saliva, mucus, sweat, whatever. It's all electrolytic fluid. It has electrolytes in it. So that's why I always want to make sure I'm maintaining, whether I feel like I should drink something from a thirst response or not. I always make sure that I'm just regularly throughout the day drinking. I don't guzzle it. I just drink it on a regular basis, because the kidneys like to process things at a nice regular pace. And when you clean up your blood system by producing clean blood, then it goes in and it cleans all the rest of your body out. It takes about a year. It took me a
Right.
whole year for my body to get rid of all the stuff that was causing hypertension and prostate problems and gut issues and brain issues, and all that stuff completely went away and improved like a young person again. So that's how important Trace is.
Yeah, well, I do enjoy it, and I use that every day. I mean, I use the iodine. I start off with magnesium and iodine in the morning, and then I drink water that's got trace in it, and I use the others as and when I feel like I need to. But those three definitely, and my body, it feels it. It's like, yeah, get them in. I feel that. You said about the brain. I think you said brain or the head. Any tips for? So I ride the bus quite a bit here. The car's on the blink at the moment, so the bus is quite nice. Some of the scenic views are nice on the bus. Sometimes it's just nicer to go on the bus. But I must say that the suspension of the buses are awful. So you get bashed around.
Oh, really?
Now I know. Yeah. Now I notice quite often. I felt it last night. If I get a few bangs, my head starts to feel a bit. I don't get headaches, but they're starting to feel a bit. I can feel it, And so I'm wondering: are there things within the range that I can use that would help? I mean, yeah, you don't want to be bashed around, but if I'm on there and I feel that, I'm sure other people on the bus are feeling it, or maybe they're just kind of numb and aren't aware of it. But I definitely notice it on certain buses. It's like, it's like a bone shaker, but it's kind of, I feel it in the head. I'm wondering if there's anything that I can increase or start to take or do extra that might, over time, get to the point where I don't even feel that, or I can deal with it better.
Well, there's a couple of things that happen. Some people are more sensitive to movement than others. Some people get motion sickness, some people don't. Some people cannot stand the up and down thing. And so if you're on a boat, if you're on a ship for the first time as in a storm, everybody's throwing up over the side for the first few days until they get into equilibrium.
Yes.
But there's pressures and there's different things that can cause sensitivity, like electromagnetic pollution, radio frequencies. People can become hyper electrosensitive. That can throw them off so that they're more sensitive to that kind of motion.
Yes.
There's no magic pill that you can really take for this, other than maybe some ginger or something like that will help to settle the stomach if it's a motion sickness kind of thing. But you're talking about equilibrium, and it's messing with you, and you feel like there's some kind of a pressure that just isn't comfortable. And the other people that are not noticing it, they may not be as sensitive as you are. There's sensitivities, pressure in the ear, your whole equilibrium around your eustachian tubes, all the stuff that goes in to keep your balance. So one thing to keep clear on that is it would help is you take the Solaris, the Solaris product.
Yeah, here it is. Yeah.
Right. And you dilute it down. Yep, that one. You don't put it straight in, but you dilute it down about 10-1.
Yes.
Put it in a little dropper bottle and just drop it in your ears, and that will help to clear. It also is great for the eyes because you got all your tear ducts and everything's kind of connected. If you blow hard enough with your nose closed, it'll actually come out your eyes and it'll pop your ears. So all that communication area, you want to keep it clear. And the Solaris goes in and just keeps that really beautifully clear. We've had all kinds of testimonies from people who have had that happen, just positive results. So I would do that for sure. And you should notice something within 2 or 3 days.
Okay.
And just once a day, just go on one side and take that 10 times diluted down. A couple of drops in there, just let it soak in a little bit. And then the other, maybe for 10 minutes, and then the side for 10 minutes. And then one drop of that in the eyes, in each eye, and that's it. Make sure the water.
Sorry, I think you're going to answer the question.
Make sure that the water you use to dilute it with is really clean, like a distilled water. It has to be super pure. Yeah.
Okay. And with the eyes, at least a tenth. So a drop, and then 10 times water to Solaris ratio. You wouldn't put it in raw.
That's right. Oh yeah, you can put it in raw, but you will not be that comfortable.
Yeah.
People have put it like people get pink eye and they take a drop of Solaris. I tell them this is what you do: take one drop of Solaris and put it in the end of your finger.
Yeah.
Take your other little finger and just barely touch that little drop. You just get a fraction of that drop so you can see it there, and then put that right in the corner of the eye here,
Yeah.
and it just clears it out. I saw one woman did it. It took one day. All this pus came from the back of her eye, and it was completely clear in one day. Otherwise, they'd be on all the antibiotics and all the stuff that you don't want.
Okay.
So Solaris is a very powerful product for that kind of, release and decongestion in the head area, and for
That's
the whole
good
body.
to know.
Yeah.
So it's very what's the word? Cleansing. I mean, is inflammatory is inflammation is congestion, but it's a very strong decongestant.
Anti-inflammatory. It's absolutely like inflammation is congestion. When you relieve the congestion, you relieve the inflammation. So it's all this terminology people are used to using. So
yeah. Wow. Okay. Thank you. I didn't know that. I think that would, I'm going to do that. That will be, that will be useful. Well, we've got just a few minutes left. Ian, anything in closing? I put a post out this week and I said, I love this stuff. I love the iodine. It's like you said on the other show, it's refreshing. I start my day with it. And also with the magnesium. They're like my first, I get up and they're the first things that go in. And then like I said, I have the water with the trace in. So
Cool. Yeah, you're totally on track. And the perfect iodine is a fuel. The magnesium is a fuel. Yes. And that fuel comes in to just give you, like, it replenishes everything. Everyone's so deficient and they don't realize. And to get it into the skin with the magnesium is the easiest. It's the gentlest on your system. And that type of magnesium holds in the tissue because you want to build up a bank account of magnesium. So when your body needs it, if you're doing a bit more brain work that day, or you got a bit more stress, it can draw on that bank account. Yes. And that's the beauty of ease. Yeah.
Brilliant. One last question again about the blood, the building blood. Blood is 48. Tom is 48. Zim, another thing in the community, is 48. But blood, building the blood, build is actually 48. So it's interesting because the blood builds the body, but 48 is build. Blood is 48. Building 78. Kennedy. But you mentioned the elements in the trace that build that fluid. Where would you get the iron from? Is that just a small component that you just get naturally from foods and things? Because I don't see it on the ingredients book here, but the iron for the hemoglobin, do we just get that from other things in the environment?
Well, yeah, you get it from your food, but most people have way too much iron. And so there's all this misdiagnosis. People are taking iron supplements, not so good. I would focus on copper before I would do iron. You got to get copper 1. And there is copper 1 in the trace amounts in our products here and there. But an actual copper 1 supplement people can find online. You just have to look it up. It's a little pricey. We don't sell a copper 1 product. But the iron, just people type in iron versus copper, what's most important. A lot of people can get too much of the wrong iron as well. So there's a lot of free iron. That's a whole nother subject though, Tom, that we would have to get into. But
so iron's not usually a deficiency per se for most people. It's there. If anything, it's an over amount.
Yeah, some women do have iron deficiencies and they've got to deal with it. They need to be tested on that and checked. It depends because of menstrual cycles and things. So, they're more sensitive than other women. So it's just a smaller ratio.
Copper 1, copper 1.
Copper 1, yeah.
Okay. Well, it's always a pleasure, Ian. I always enjoy our chats. And I continually enjoy using the products and being exposed to more of them and bringing them into my regimen iodine, magnesium, and the trace are just it's easy now for me. They're part of my routine. It's the first thing that goes in. So And I'm going to do that with the Solaris, with the drops. I'm going to do that. Yeah. And I have used the Uric. I used that last week. I'm going to start topping up on the immune. I feel good, but you know, we're going into that part of the year, and I'll start. And I did Oceans Live yesterday in a smoothie. So, or was it today? Might have been today.
Yeah, the Oceans Live is that's our hero product. Has been around for the whole entire time from the beginning. That's the one that they got it going all the way across the board. I see my alarms going off for my next call.
Yeah, so we got to wrap
really
up.
fast.
The links are in the description of the video. So click down there, click the link, enter Tom Numbers 20, and you'll get 20% off of all the items you get in your package and your product. So Ian, God bless you. I will see you again soon, my friend. It's always a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, God bless you, Tom.
Thanks, Ian. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.